Om Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. What was the last class about? Observation and imagination. So both are separate issues. So there are some people who can observe very well, and there are people who can imagine well. If both faculties are there, then that leads to greatness. So, can there be great imagination without observation? Is it possible? A person who cannot observe, what is the main ingredient of observation? Focus, awareness. So, what is the main ingredient of imagination? Focus. See, what happens, we also, when we meditate, actually meditation is nothing but a focus. But what happens? The mind wanders. If the mind wanders, then what happens? It breaks. Imagination breaks. In meditation, what are we supposed to imagine? Thakur's form, nama, guna, rupa. These three combined. What happens? We very often focus upon nama and rupa, but not on gunas. So it's very important for us, what are the gunas? There is Sri Ram Krishna dhyana mantra is there. Every god, goddess has got a dhyana mantra, meditation. So what is that dhyana mantra all about? Because they are not giving nama and rupa there. Because nama rupa changes. Of course, they give the name, this is Krishna's meditation mantra, or Rama's meditation mantra, Vishnu's meditation mantra. It is only for us to give a cue. But if you remove that nama, so the rest is guna, guna dhyana. Hridaya kamala madhye rajitam. He is shining in the heart. So what does shining in the heart means? What is the heart? That which feels, that faculty, that which feels, which is within each one of us, that is called Hridaya. So the Lord is shining there. Rajitam means shining. Shining means what? Here is a bulb. Bulb is shining. It's a very beautiful word. Jyotira jyoti Ujjvala Hridi Kandara. Let's also say Ujjvala Hridi Kandara. Inside the cave of our heart. So he is the light of lights. What is the function of a light? So it gives us knowledge. Light is always taken as an analogy for knowledge. It's a light and darkness. Darkness means ignorance. Light. So what is the function of a light? By itself, light is not important in the physical sense. It is what it does, what result it brings to us. So that depends upon us. That is why it is called Jyotira Jyoti. Suppose there is light and we don't recognize the object. That means we don't have the knowledge of the correct, right knowledge of the object. Then we won't react. Knowledge always brings what? Reaction. So that is why all these are lights, but they won't give us knowledge. But that is pure knowledge. So what is it? What am I trying to tell you? This light, it illumines. Here is a table, here is this thing. But a second light, inner light needs to respond to it and say, yes, I know it is a table. That I know this is an object. That is called Jyotira Jyoti. Otherwise, even a dog also can see this. How do we know? Because when it comes, it avoids this table. It goes around it. It will not bump into it. So what we do with this revelation, that is called knowledge. Same thing with life. Ramakrishna, he had that Jyotir, he is the Jyotira Jyoti. So he observes everything. And so his power of imagination, even in the secular life, how important it is for us to have this responsive knowledge from within, even for secular life. Who was that? Newton, apple fell on his head. Yeah, one cartoon, Newton was sitting and there was a tree, and this first generation of Apple computer fell on his head and he became instantaneously illumined. So what we do after getting the revelation of objects, that is the true knowledge. So this light doesn't give us true knowledge. Its function is to remove the ignorance. But how we grasp a thing, that depends upon us. That is what it says, Hridaya Kamala Madhye Rajitam. So within us, what is the name of that one? Pure consciousness. So you can say it is a nature, it is also guna. Because in Sri Ramakrishna, there is no difference between the person and the guna. For example, milk and its whiteness are not separate. Fire and its heating, burning are not separate. In our case, person is different, quality is different. A person may be good, another person may be not so good. So that is the difference between us and certain things in this world. You see, sun and light, are they different? Otherwise what happens? The sun says, you take the light, I will go away. What happens if the sun goes away? Light goes away. So Sri Ramakrishna is represented. That is his nature. And that is also his quality. That is also our nature. That is also our quality. That is how we have to meditate upon Sri Ramakrishna or any deity. What is this kind of meditation? What is it called? Gunadhyana. If we don't acquire those qualities, then meditation is not effective. Okay, you are imagining a nice picture. A camera, when it looks at an object, what does it do? Exactly how we are meditating, much better than that. Because crystal clearly it takes the picture. But since it is not aware of the qualities, it remains only a lifeless camera. This is what Sri Ramakrishna says, uttering the name of God like a parrot. So the parrot, does it become a saint by taking the name of Ramakrishna? Why is it? That quality doesn't come there. That is the most important thing. Nirvikalpam. Vikalpa means change. Nirvikalpa means what? Changeless. So we are also nirvikalpas. We read books, we do so many things. Not much change seems to be happening. But in Sri Ramakrishna's case, he was not only observing, but he is also imagining. Now what do you think he is imagining? Alright, let us take an example. Sri Ramakrishna is observing a householder, and what was he finding? That this householder is producing children after children, year after year. This is his observation. But what was his imagination? This fellow doesn't have enough money and he is producing children, and his children are going to suffer. He is going to suffer. The whole family is going to suffer. The whole country is going to suffer. Ramakrishna's mission is going to suffer. Because ultimately they come. The poor fellow will come. I am a poor fellow. Please give me relief. Swami asks, why did you produce so many children? You know what would be his typical reply? हम क्या करेंगे? भगवान दिया है. So why don't you go and ask Bhagavan for help? And that is what Sudama had done. He went, and so he got plenty. What is the moral? So if Bhagavan has given children, then go to Bhagavan. then he will look after you and everything else. What was Ramakrishna's imagination here? Imagination is, this kind of life is not right. If you have means to educate one child, get one child. If you have the means to educate 2 children, then get 2 children. That is his imagination. And then here are 2 people who are going to court, and they are who gets benefit when 2 people go to court? Who gets the benefit?
The solicitors.
It is the solicitors, the lawyers, they get the benefit. So Ramakrishna was observing, year after year, they are getting poorer, and yet they do not stop and say, why we are quarreling for a little bit of whatever it is. So that is his imagination. Then what happens? I will not have children. I will not go and quarrel. So his whole character. Then he observed death. That is observation. We also observed death. Buddha also had observed death. What was his imagination? Oh, I have to go through the same process. I will be dead. Then he observed a monk, shining face of a monk, so peaceful, so joyous, so serene. Then that was observation. What was his imagination? I am sitting like this. That is dhyana, I am the future Shramana. But he did not stop only with that. What about all the other people? You see, our imagination will be, how nice it would be if we are also joyous and without any attachments. But Buddha's imagination was, not only I will be enlightened, I will be a light to the whole world. What a marvelous thing it is. Okay, this was what our main topic was in the last class. Ramakrishna was a person of highest observation as well as highest imagination. What is that imagination? He not only observes, he analyzes what he observes, and then he comes to certain conclusions. These are the benefits and these are the things which I should avoid. And that is how he molded his character. So the essence of it is, why should you observe, why should you imagine? Only for 2 reasons. What is it? Thereby, how can I benefit by observing, by imagining the other people's lives? Okay, we will take it up from there. I forgot to mention a very important fact. So when Sri Ramakrishna was born, so his name was different. It was not Gadadhar. So when he was born, immediately his father asked some astrologers to cast. According to that, his name was Shambhu Chandra. His name was Shambhu Chandra. So named the boy as Shambhu Chandra after the sign of the zodiac, Rashi we call it, under which he was born. But in memory of his remarkable dream, he decided to call him Gadadhar. You see the point? When children are born, babies are born, then usually people who believe in astrology, they will find out what is the time when this baby is born. And then they will name accordingly, A, E, Ka, etc. And under that alphabet there would be what is called, many variations could be there. That's what is said. So we have to keep Shambhu Chandra. After that, Shambhu Chandra disappears. The name was there, but never again. But he used to call him Gadadhar. Why? Because the Gaya Vishnu is, what was his name? Gaya Vishnu Gadadhar. So his name became Gadadhar. But this Gadadhar name also was shortened by people, and it was Gadai. And then later on this Gadai also was forgotten, and the name Ramakrishna became very popular. So there was a research. When did this name come? Swami Prabhanandaji, he had made research, and his Sri Ramakrishna's father, it seems, he used to address him as Ramakrishna. And also we get Haladhari, when Sri Ramakrishna was playing, "Oh Ramakrishna, I found you out." And it is more reasonable because his family was devoted to Rama. Therefore, Kshudi Ram, Ram Shela, and then Rameshwar, Ram Kumar. Everybody was practically was with the ending somehow or other that Ram is inserted in their names. So it is reasonable to say that his name became Ramakrishna. This Paramahamsa and other things came later on. So his name he became popular as Ramakrishna. But where did Sri come as a reverential? We always say Sri Aurobindo. His parents did not name him as Sri Aurobindo. His name was only Aurobindo. So Indians use respectable names Sri, like Mahatma Gandhi. If there were to be no Mahatma, his name would have been Sri Gandhi. Yeah. But interesting, Tirupati, Tirumala. Malay in Tamil language means what? Hill. Hill. So Pati means what? Lord, Master. Actually Tiru means in Tamil that's equivalent to Shri, Shripati. Tirupati is Shripati. Tirumala means Sri mountain. Like that, Sri Hill, like that. So this word Tiru, Hindus always use that word. Okay, the next incident. So Sri Ramakrishna's power of imagination was so great, whatever he observes, if something is worthy of being imitated upon, instantaneously he will become absorbed in it. So if he sees a beautiful scenery, he will be absorbed. If something strikes him very well, instantaneously he would become one with that idea. So certain instances are there. So what happens when a person really becomes absorbed? So we are also like that. So, but in two different ways. One is because of what is called the passive imagination, the power of passive imagination. So you are watching a movie. It is not well made. What happens to you? Your imagination, when you are watching a movie, actually you are using your power of imagination. Is it not? You are putting yourself in the shoes of all those people. A movie, a drama, etc. And when you are listening to some piece of music, it is like that. When you are reading a novel, what do? Not only imagination, two types of imaginations will be there again. One is, you are there. So somebody is murdering. Where? In Africa. This is in the book. Where are you? Are you here? Are you in Africa? You are there. Second, you put yourself in the minds of all those characters. So here is a murderer and he is running. You put yourself in the mind of the murderer, and here is the person who is the victim who is running away, and you are also imagining. So on one side you are feeling the anger or hatred of the villain, on the other side you are feeling the fear. That's why your heart, it just beats. Is it not a fact? This is something extraordinary. All unconsciously we do it. So we are doing two things. What is it? The first thing is that we are present there, at that place and at that time. When you are reading Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, where are you? Either at Dakshineshwar, or when you are reading the childhood activities, you are really there. So you imagine that Haltarpukur pond, you also imagine the school, and Gada is playing. See how wonderful it is. But at the same time, you are also identifying yourself with each one of the characters. Why is it? That is because if you cannot imagine that you are, after all, they are in your mind. And whatever is in your mind is whose creation? It's your own creation. Your own master mind, it is working there. I'll just touch this point. When you are dreaming, suppose, when you are dreaming, say you are dreaming, there is a room and we are having a class and Swami Dayatmananda was taking a class. This is the dream. So long as you are dreaming, now what happens, do you understand? You have created Swami Dayatmananda. Who is Swami Dayatmananda when you wake up? It is you. Your mind has become. That's why I make fun, You can get up and say, today's class is the best class I had. Why? Swami Dayatmananda spoke so very well. Actually, who spoke? You are imagining that. Not only you are imagining that, you are also imagining yourself as one of the audience. Not only you are imagining yourself as one of the audience, you are also imagining there is a chair, there is a sofa, there is a table, everything that is there in the dream, you are imagining. Are you imagining or not?
Yes.
And imagining means what? I want to make this point clear. So, whether it is in the dream or in the waking state, whatever we are observing, it is inside our mind. That means, unconsciously, we are identifying ourselves with everything in this world. But because of Maya, we say this is only separate from me. So, this is a wonderful point we get in Upanishads, in the Mandukya, Karika, etc. What is that? This seeming division between the experiencer and the experienced is called Maya. What is called Maya? You have to be very, very careful in this point. What is Maya? What is the experience? That is not Maya. This seeming division between the experiencer and the experience, that is called Maya. So, if you remove the Maya, then what happens? It is like, imagine Sri Ramakrishna gives this example, water is there. You put a stick. And then how does the water appear now? As though it is divided. Remove this stick. Now how many divisions in the water do you see? You don't see. That is if you get that idea, you can get this, what I am talking about. Actually, there are no two things. No two things called the experiencer and the experienced. Whatever is only one. Do you get that idea? So that is the name for that is called Brahman, because there is only one reality. Do you see the point? If there are two realities, then there is in what is called completely separate two objects, like Prakriti and Purusha. This is the difference between Sankhya philosophy and Vedanta. Vedanta means Advaita Vedanta. Not Advaita Vedanta, not Visishta Advaita. It is only Advaita. Because even according to Visishta Advaita, there are two things are there. One is God, one is everything else. Anyway, that is a side point. It is not necessary now. When we come perhaps to the Advaita experience of Sri Ramakrishna, we will discuss about it. What is important for us here, even when you are imagining, you are putting yourself into that position. We are all doing that whenever we experience a well-produced movie, a well-written book, a well-played music, either singing or playing. We are putting ourselves into that bhava. But what is the problem with that? Two problems. First of all, it is a passive imagination. Means what? It is the object which is making me get absorbed, not by myself. The second problem is, it is of very short duration. Whereas in Sri Ramakrishna, He was a master. Means what? He can put himself in the position of complete identity with whatever when he was meditating on mother. Who became the mother? How do we know? While worshipping, what was he doing? He was taking flowers and putting on his own head, or even on his feet. And when he was offering the food to the mother, what was he doing? He says, "Oh mother, you want me to eat first." What was the mother telling to him? That there is no difference between you and me. And the same thing, later on when he was smoking hubble bubble, then so he forcibly put the pipe in the mouth of Narendranath. And Narendranath was hesitant, because by that time he understood what a gulf of difference between the purity of Sri Ramakrishna and himself. He hesitated, also thinking it might affect Sri Ramakrishna's health in some way. And Sri Ramakrishna chides him. Even now, so much of difference you see. Later on, Swamiji became like that. So one day he announced to everybody that I will do the worship. Everybody was curious, because on only very rare occasions Swamiji had performed worship. So everybody gathered, and simply there were flowers, sandal paste, I think some offering also. It's a very interesting incident. I don't know, I imagine there would be some fruits, flowers, etc. But the incident described was that Swamiji first asked, let us all meditate. And everybody became absorbed in meditation. Then Swamiji, suddenly they found someone was silently moving among them. What Swamiji did? He mixed all the flowers with the sandal paste completely. He was coming and putting the flowers on the heads of each one of them. That was the first thing. What was the second thing he did? The remaining flowers he offered to Sri Ramakrishna. That much I read. If you have read something further, I don't know. Supposing there is some nice payasam, what do you think he would do? Yeah, if we could give to a cat that strayed into the Dakshineshwar temple, why can't he do this also? So he would have fed. And then what did he do with the remaining flowers? He offered them to Sri Ramakrishna. And what do you think he will do with the remaining food material? He would offer to. So what does that mean? That means he was not seeing any difference between himself, the other Guru Bhais and disciples, even disciples, and then Sri Ramakrishna. Okay, he will feed. Payasam he will feed, probably with his own hands. And after puja is over, if the little payasam is remaining, would he take it or not? He will take, because he is offering it only to God. This is the most marvelous meditation we have to do. That is why there is the dhyana mantra, Sat Asat Akhila Bhedatitam Ekaswarupam Hridaya Kamala Madhye Rajitam Nirvikalpam Sadakila Bhedatitam Ekaswarupam. Sat and Asat. So there the meaning of Sat is pure existence. Asat means manifested existence, not non-existence.
Manifest.
Yeah. In Vedantic Advaita theory, there is nothing called non-existence. So Asat means here, this is called manifested universe. Asat means what? Unmanifested universe. Now, no, I'm coming to that. He is beyond what is called good and evil. It's highly interesting. Even these words good and evil, is evil good or not good? It depends upon, you see, from 2 points. I will just touch it from 2 points. First, here is a tiger, and it is eating, say, a goat. So from the viewpoint of the tiger it is, from the viewpoint of the goat it is asat. Is it really? This is God's creation. The tiger has to survive. Now you say it is evil, that is what the goat thinks. But what is the goat doing? It is eating the plants. From the point of the plant, it is good or evil? It's evil. But from the viewpoint, because the plant, what is it doing? There are some plants which trap and then they eat. So the whole life is eating life, so there is no sat or asat. If it is for the sake of living, it is absolutely fine. Now the second point of view is, here is a evil person and he is harming me in some way. Is it good or bad? No. That's where Vedanta comes to our help. According to the law of karma, if I am paying in the form of getting a loss something, or somebody is giving me pain, suffering, is it because of him or is it because of my own karma? That means it is good because this karma kshaya is taking place. From that point of view, it is only good. See how wonderful it is. We have to understand. Sri Ramakrishna, he is beyond both what we call good and evil. So here Advaita Vedanta gives the answer. That is the third point we have to accept. What is it? Suppose you are watching a drama. In the drama there will be villain and hero and fight and all those things. Now when you are experiencing what is called aesthetic experience, what is it? Good and evil. Because you are enjoying not only good. Will you enjoy a film? Suppose there is hero meets heroine and then villain comes and blesses them. Will you enjoy? So 2 hours, how do you pass? There must be a dramatic moment should be there. And a lot of ups and downs, you don't know what is happening. Then only you will enjoy, isn't it? So after coming back, will you say that fellow who acted, he should be killed as a villain or whatever? Do you think you do that? Supposing you are a judge and you are asked the relative merits of acting and the villain had acted superbly, whom do you award first prize? So what is the point we are discussing here? Sri Ramakrishna is Brahman. If he is Brahman, who is the good person? He. Who is the wicked person? He. The good, both the good and the evil, it is nothing but Sri Ramakrishna's expression, isn't it? If this is so, how can it be really good or evil? If you slap yourself, are you a good person or a wicked person? You see, Advaita Vedanta alone it says, that is why it says Sat, Asat, Akhila, Bheda, Atita. One who is beyond both good and evil. But only point is, that is the highest stage we have to reach. Until we reach that stage, it is not wise, as Sri Ramakrishna, to behave in that way. What we should say? We should say that you hiss whenever you come across asat. But at the same time, know that this is all Leela of God. Anyway, so what we are talking, coming back to our subject, the power of imagination. The whole topic came because of the power of imagination. What is the highest peak of the power of imagination? To become one with the object of which we are having that imagination. So when we are meditating, what are we supposed to do? We become one with the deity. Then here is the crux of the point. When a person is trying to meditate on the chosen deity or whatever subject, that is called imagination. To the extent his power of imagination is great, to that extent he understands the subject. This is wonderful. Imagination must lead to what? Understanding, knowledge. That is called samadhi. Samadhi is another name for knowledge. So the highest is, I am Ramakrishna, if I am meditating upon, or I am Brahman, whatever it is, I am Kali. That's what Sri Ramakrishna had attained. Second time, mind you, not first time. When Totapuri came, that was the second time he had. Don't forget, first time, before any guru came, he did sadhana and he did. Now, what are we talking about? When a person, until a person becomes identified with the object of his thought, it is imagination. But once the person becomes identified, is it imagination or is it identification? So he behaves exactly like that. This is how the dhyana mantra, we call it, meditational mantras, they give a hint. If I am meditating on Ramakrishna, what actually I should become. That is what we will get here, examples. So what happens when a person's imagination is so great, the first thing that happens is he forgets his own identity. You see, when you are absorbed in watching such a scene, you forget you are a body until again something pulls you back. That's why Sri Ramakrishna's samadhi means what? Totally he forgets about the body. Even breathing, what a phenomena it is. So, well-known physicians say that it is the absence of body consciousness that is the sign of health. It was this kind of health that the boy enjoyed from his birth. And we have to imagine, can you realize how it was so natural for us to enjoy this kind of absence of body consciousness when we were children? You know, when a baby, a child is playing with dolls, so totally absorbed, is not aware of the body consciousness. You see, even here, funny thing that happens is, small children come, 2.5, 3 years suppose, and this girl is trying to, inside there is a panty, and she is showing, removing the, what is that? That upper cloth, skirt or whatever. And it is the parents who are conscious, and then they try to pull it down. But the child, why does it do? Because the child is not conscious. I am a body, I am a girl, I am a boy, and I should not expose myself to others. Anyway, so this type of constant absence of body consciousness was the very nature of Sri Ramakrishna's childhood and also youth. But his trouble started after he started practicing spiritual disciplines. Then, as a result of severe austerities, but even then, was he conscious of his body? That's why he was called a Paramahamsa. Who is a Paramahamsa? He who is not conscious of his body. Not only that, the cloth used to naturally drop off. Yeah. So that is the point we have to keep in mind. The experience we now relate also had its origin in the boy's tendency towards the spiritual contemplation of beauty. We know that incident. One day he was eating something and he was walking in the fields. And we imagine it were green fields, rice fields. Then suddenly the whole sky was clouded with thick black clouds. And then what happened? All the one flock of white cranes, it started flying. Now we also see that. It is rare that our imagination flies so high. We say it is very beautiful. Sometimes we see that very beautiful. But what was Sri Ramakrishna's effect? He lost consciousness and then he fell down. So 2 points to be noted here. The first thing is he was born with aesthetic joy, and it is not to be identified with fainting fits, not fainting fits. How? Because his parents became very worried. But later on, the parents have realized no ill health or anything had taken place. He was completely free. That is the first point. What is it? Total absence of consciousness or total identity of his forgetfulness of body and identifying with the aesthetic joy. Now, interesting point here in this point is he still seeing those cranes and then the black clouds? No. What happens? This is a state of mind which becomes nirakara. It has nothing to do. To begin with, it is like a door. Like, beautiful music is being played. First you are aware, here is the artist, here is the instrument, here either singing, and then slowly your mind forgets the whole lot. The same thing happens when Sri Ramakrishna used to meditate upon the Divine Mother. When you sit in front of, say, Mother Kali and close your eyes and imagine vividly the Mother, what is it that you see? The image of the Divine Mother. It is not alive, but vivid imagination. It is still a stone, the kind of decoration, flower, garland, everything. At best, if without deviation, without restlessness, your mind only can at least imagine that unbrokenly, I would say it is one of the best meditations you have. But when Sri Ramakrishna used to meditate upon the same Mother, do you think that he will be seeing that basalt image with the decorations? What do you think he will see? Pure consciousness. Pure consciousness. How do we know that we make this statement? How do we know? Because it is said, and what happened? One day he felt such a terrible longing. Mother, if you do not reveal yourself, I am going to cut my throat with that sword. Then he ran like a madman. He took that sword. But before that, Mother revealed herself. Then Swami Sharadananda is describing, when Sri Ramakrishna came to outer consciousness, he was he was uttering. But then later on he was describing waves of consciousness came from all the four sides and engulfed me, drowned me, and I lost consciousness. Sri Ramakrishna lost his consciousness in pure consciousness. What does that mean? What does that statement mean?
He lost his...
Yes. That individualized, broken, limited awareness was totally lost. He became absorbed means he became pure consciousness. That is the point I'm telling. So long as there is a broken consciousness, I am different, something is different. But the moment we become one, there is no me and there is only pure consciousness will be there. That is the point we have to remember. So when Sri Ramakrishna saw this beautiful scenery, so he became totally absorbed. 2 points I said. What was the first point? Total absorption. What is the second point? It is a special type of aesthetic joy, because all may not have that kind of aesthetic joy. So he became, and it is not unconsciousness. How? Because there was no illness, ill effect. He was perfectly happy, and afterwards maybe he had even more enjoyment, experience of enjoyment. So this is the first thing. Then the second thing that happened, just 1 minute. Okay, we'll come to that. The second time that had happened, he was going along with some village women to one temple called Vishalakshi, and the devotees were singing devotional songs, and Sri Ramakrishna suddenly lost all his outward consciousness. So people were thought, what is this? If this boy is in this condition, then our joy will be lost, because they were also responsible. His mother was not there, none from his family were there. So this is the second time he was having, or many more times, because this is only what we know, the incidents. How many other incidents we do not know, how many times he became absorbed. In fact, that was his nature. Upon whatever he was meditating, he would be totally absorbed in it. But this is a recorded incident. Then one of the ladies, I think Prasanna, She was intelligent. He thought we were, perhaps this boy was possessed by Divine Mother Visalakshi, started singing or chanting mother's name, and immediately he came back. So this is the second time. Now there is an important point here. That point is later on Sri Ramakrishna, whenever he hears God's name, he used to go into samadhi. Now to bring him back from that state, what was the stratagem? He taught Holy Mother. What is it? If he went into samadhi by hearing Kali's name, then they should sing Kali's name. Then his mind is like a ladder. So if he goes up and then he has to come back by the same ladder. Suppose somebody sings some other god's name, especially Shiva. Then it is as though they removed the ladder after he went there, and then there is only one way. He had to tapak, he will fall, he will get injured. So one day it happened, somebody was singing mother's name and he went into samadhi. Then suddenly the singer started singing Shiva's name. And Sri Ramakrishna, with great difficulty, he came outward consciousness. And then he said, sing mother's name. Otherwise they would not have known. And then he would have perhaps given up his body. So he taught Holy Mother that if you observe me in this way, then you utter this name. If you observe me in the other way, you utter the other name. Something very wonderful. Yeah. So Vishalakshi. The third incident that happened, we all know, that there was on Shivaratri night, there was to be a drama. And because one of the actors who was supposed to act as Shiva, he fell sick. And then they knew that Sri Ramakrishna Gadai was a very good actor and singer and imitator. He was many. So they requested him, and then he accepted. They were dressed, and then he became totally absorbed in Shiva, and that yatra had to come to a stop. If he had not acted, it wouldn't have been there. If he had acted, it was not there. But what a difference it makes. People felt really Lord Shiva was there. Was it mere feeling or was it a truth? Because he became one with Lord Shiva. So how blessed the people, even though they did not know that they were having the vision of Shiva. Now what do you think the state of the people when they saw him and felt he was Shiva? Their minds were uplifted. But was everybody uplifted? No. There were a few who started criticizing. This Gadai came and spoiled the whole drama. And they neither felt uplifted nor had any vision of Shiva. So what is the important point we have to derive here? Most important point, what is it that we derive here? Means if we can develop systematically, rationally, logically the power of imagination, our whole life will change. So this is the method that is being used now to cure certain even phobias. Suppose somebody has a phobia of a cockroach or earthworm or dry grass, dry leaf. You name it, there is a phobia. And it is genuine. Fear. Phobia means what? Fear. And they get agitated. What is the way? I mentioned quite a number of times. What is it called? Virtual reality. So the trainer is there, and he will slowly he will put a photograph, say a cockroach, huge photograph, one photograph, go on looking at it. And afterwards, everywhere there will be photographs of cockroaches will be there. And then he will slowly, then there will be what is called a small plastic model of cockroach. So you go on. This fellow knows this is only not real cockroach. Then slowly a real cockroach from a distance. Now what is the point of this treatment? Slowly in the imagination of that person, The idea, this is a cockroach, that is a cockroach, this is a cockroach. So what? So I am still surviving. And what? Because when the mind is exposed several times to the same fear, the fear also loses its effect. I will give you some, because these are all wonderful study we have to understand, how we can be helped in many, many ways. For example, here is a person who is terribly frightened of getting up on a stage and giving a talk. There are people, this aeroplane, they cannot travel. They terribly fear them. And there are so many Swamis who will do anything.
But give lecture.
Not give lecture, but give lecture. So they are terribly frightened. That's why this Dale Carnegie Institution helps people, business people, executives, how to look at the audience and then how to deliver a lecture without knocking their knees. Wonderful. See, the real example is in Colombia and South America, is murdering boys, etc. It is a daily phenomena. There are some areas, fights, quarrels, and even beatings, murders, they are just every time occurrences. Do you think people are not living? Do you think people are not enjoying their food? Do you think people are not sleeping? What happens? You see, daily when they see, they are exposed, they take it for granted, and in course of time, it becomes. What is the psychology behind it? Such an important thing. If we are exposed to certain type of ideas or sceneries, our mind loses sensitivity to it. That is the psychology of advertisement. So it can be used to get rid of a problem. It can also be used to create a desire. All these things. So, but Sri Ramakrishna had used imagination in both ways. Regarding the negative thing in the world, oh, here is a person who dies. So this is a fact of life. We also see that. But our imagination doesn't go further and say, what if I die? It must become so real that I am going to die. This is how Ramana Maharshi was supposed to have attained illumination. He pretended to be dead, and in his imagination, it was not it was complete. He became as though dead. He said, I felt I was dead. So what? I am still there. I am witnessing. My body is here. And so I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am that. Ever since that time, he remained in that state. So human mind can, not only even animals, they can remain in any atmosphere, any climate, any situation. And that is how we accept things that are happening. So what a marvelous thing. So another example just now came to our mind. Have you seen David Attenborough's these things? A pride of lions is going nearby. There are heads of deer. Do you think they are 24 hours frightened? They live there. Only they know when the tigers or lions are hungry and when they are about to attack them. Rest of the time they were eating and looking like this, again eating. Normal state of mind. So the point we are discussing is, if we want to advance in spiritual life, what is the first thing that we need to develop? Power of observation as well as power of imagination. Both are important. What is our observation? Here are people and they are there. They seem to be very happy and suddenly gone. Death has come. Is it not happening every day?
Yes.
This is called observation. What is the imagination here? My identity with that observation. So if someone else is dying, I am also liable to death. And when I die, when these people, somebody dies, what does he take along with him? Not even his body. We know that the body goes into the crematorium. He cannot take his body. However nice it is, he cannot take his body. And what does he want to take? If he is given a choice, does he want to take it? No, they don't want. You know why? So I am awaiting a better body. How do we know? This person has just walked into the cosmetic surgery. Why did he walk? He or she. Because he is not accepting his present body. So we all hope we will have better body. So today's topic we will conclude with that point. Do you want the same body next life? Bring out that subject and say, if I want a body and it is going to come, that fact world cannot give, because we have never seen anybody who is dead coming back to life. But death is for certain. Birth is also certain. Before birth we don't know what this child is. After death we don't know what is going to happen. So we all find defects in our body, in our situation. So we wish we were somebody else. So do we want exactly the same body? How many of us want exactly the same body? None of us want. So it is a subject for meditation. If I want a body, what type of body I want? Now if you ask, there would be two types of people would be there. Two types of people will be there. Worldly people and spiritual people. So worldly people, they would think that if I have this kind of body, then I become more beautiful, more attractive, and then I can get somebody, partner or husband or wife, who will fulfill my desires, and etc. etc. But if there are spiritual people, what type of body he wants? Simple example, when before Sri Ramakrishna used to meditate during his sadhana period, he would look at a particular stone figure in front of the Nat Mandir. There is a Bhairava figure. Say, oh mind, you be motionless like that. So what was he wishing? I wish I have a body which would be motionless like that. And the result of his prayer, and his prayer is 100% imagination. So he used to graphically describe, as though as soon as he sits for meditation, as though someone was locking every joint. And then he says, I had no power to change, move until meditation is over and somebody would again unlock. What a marvelous thing for us to understand this fact. His imagination, motionless, absolute motionless. That is also a hint for us that when we sit for meditation, we have to think of two things. First, let me be motionless. Second, let me be absolutely relaxed. And third, let me be totally absorbed. So let us make a suggestion, and you see it will really help. So that is how it goes. So what is the point we discussed today? So Sri Ramakrishna was the greatest observer, and he observing. What is the point? Oh, I see this person, and this person is doing these things, and he is suffering also because of those particular deeds. And imagination. What is the imagination? He also had seen not only that kind of people, he also had seen his own father, mother. There must have been some other people who were his ideals, but especially his mother and father. What great people they were. And he was saying, my ideal is to live like my father. Because he was real Brahmana, whom Hinduism has depicts how a real Brahmana should really behave. And the life of Kshidiram also proved conclusively that he was born a Brahmin and he lived like a Brahmin and he died also a knower of Brahman. Because we know that when he died, he uttered the name of Raghuvir thrice and then he gave up. Absolutely no regret. Whole life, total dependence upon God. So only one point we have to note in this respect. When he lost all his property, what was his reaction? What would be our reaction? What a misfortune. That this is the first. What a misfortune, I lost whatever I have. Or even a little bit of what I have. Even if we lose little also, people will be thinking like that. What is the second reaction? Second reaction would be that rogue who had deprived me of this. If I have the power, what I will do. Third reaction. Why did God allow this kind of injustice? What is he doing? Why is he not keeping his title God by doing something? These are all various thoughts that go through. What was Kshudiram's reaction? He lived like a rishi. What was it? It was God who gave, it was God who also had taken away. When a person lives that kind of life, what do you think his end will be? And he had so many visions. So what is the point? Sri Ramakrishna observed these people like Bhagavan Buddha. His father was not living like that. But he had to see a Shramana and then mold his life, his ideal, according to that Shramana. I will be a Shramana. But Sri Ramakrishna's Shramana was right in front of him. He had such wonderful vision. God came and said, I am going to be born as your son. Who is great? Father or son? Who is great? So these are the most marvelous things we have to keep in mind while meditating upon Thakur. And we also have to acquire this power of observation as well as power of imagination, so that can aid us in our spiritual life. Om Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Muhur Muhuhu.